Auzubillahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa ahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Allahumma arhamna ya arhamar rahimin. Allahumma ighfir lana dhunubana ya rabb. So, going through Surah Al-Araf, covering 2 pages today. Verse number 163 on the next page, and 164 and 165 and 166. So 1, 2, 3, 4 verses referring to a real life incidents which happened thousands of years ago during Musa alayhi salam's time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by the side of the sea, this referring to the Red Sea. Now the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and says, Auzubillahi minash shaitanir rajim, was'alhum, ask them, ask whom? The people of Jewish community were present during the day, during Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam time, about their ancestors, which is the people of the town, allati kanat aliratul bahr, those people who used to live by the side of the sea. Id, when, ya'aduna fi sabt. What is the day of Sabbath? Day of Sabbath is like us having day of Jummah on Friday. They used to have day of Sabbath on Saturday. They broke the rule on the day of Sabbath, which meant on the day of Sabbath, it was meant to be a day of worship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And fishing was prohibited on that day. Fishing was their source of income. So, fishing was prohibited on that day. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tested them. Fish used to come to them in that sea during the day of Sabbath openly, but not during the rest of the days. What happened? Those people who had weak iman or fasikun, people, fasik, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, that was a kadhalika nabluhum. That is how we tested them, bima kanu yafsukun, for what they used to disobey. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tested them and they fell on that test, and they failed that test miserably. They ended up making use of that, the fishes coming openly on that day, and rather than dedicating that day to worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they ended up making use of that opportunity and grabbed the dunyavi thing which they have seen. Very, very important message for us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will test us with this dunya. It's okay for us to earn our income in a halal way without compromising our fundamental principles and without replacing it from worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our priorities has to be set very clearly, and that is what we learn from this. Priorities, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has asked us to do something on certain days, and that day has to be dedicated for that, and whatever the temptations we have, the dunyavi thing which shaitan will tempt us to do that, we have to have that iman. We have to build up that iman to resist that temptation, because dunyavi thing is transient. Those people who disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that temporary, advantages of that particular day, which Allah actually was testing them, they fell on that. And they got the, punishment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they ended up not benefiting from that. It's all temporary, which they failed to see that. They did not have that insight because of fasaq, disobeying nature of which they nurtured in their heart. They were not able to see the bigger picture. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not make us among those people. And during this time, some of the people among them, وَإِذْ قَالَتْ أُمَّةٌ مِّنْهُمْ, some of the people, that's what, we don't have to brand all the people as evil people or bad people. Among those people of children of Israel, they were good people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is referring to them. وَإِذْ قَالَتْ أُمَّةٌ مِّنْهُمْ, when a community among them said, why do you preach to a people whom Allah is about to destroy or to punish with a severe torment? So what happened was, while this was happening, while these people were falling into this kind of a test where they were disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they were fishing, they were trying to make use of that, the fish coming openly on that day, they were trying to make use of that. Some of the people said, don't do this, don't disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. but some other group. So now they have got three groups now. The people who are disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the people who were preaching to these people saying that don't disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then a group of people who are talking to this people who are preaching, saying that why are you preaching them? Those people for whom Allah muhlikum or muhadhibum. Either Allah will destroy them or adab. Allah will punish them. Why are you doing that? They said, قَالُوا مَحْدِرَةً إِلَىٰ رَبِّكُمْ وَلَعَلَّكُمْ يَتَّقُونَ. Their attitude was, these people who were preaching, these disobeying people, their attitude was, they said, in order to be free from guilt before your Lord, and perhaps these people will get that taqwa, they will become conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this ayah is very important. We need to, when you see people disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we need to have that attitude of continuously preaching them, advising them, correcting them, guiding them and all that. And we should not lose hope. We cannot lose hope. And that is what we understand from this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala highlighted those conversation between two groups of people. One group was trying to advise these people not to disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The other group was trying to remain silent, and they were actually discouraging the people who were trying to, guide them. So then what happened? فَلَمَّا نَسُوا مَا ذُكِّرُوا بِهِ. So when they forgot the remindings that had been given to them, these disobeying people, what happened was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rescued those who prevented the evil. So those people who were giving good nasiyah and all that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rescued them. But we seized those who did wrong with a severe torment because of their rebellious nature. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَأَخَذْنَا الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا. We seized them, الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا بِأَذَابٍ. By a painful punishment took over them. What was that punishment? In the next verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قُلْنَا لَهُمْ كُونُوا قِرَدَةً خَاسِئِينَ. We told them, be monkeys, humiliated. And they literally transformed into monkeys. This group of human beings literally transformed into monkeys, and people were, humiliated. People were, kind of stuff, when they become nuisance. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. This is a real life incident which happened thousands of years ago during Musa alayhi salam time in a town by the side of the sea, which was Red Sea. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's punishment descended upon them. It is, Allah is a haqq. The prophets are haqq. What is promised is haqq. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives the deepest understanding to, recognize the truth and try to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's commands and stay away from what He has forbidden. And any mistakes humanly, happens, have that insight to constantly turn back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the tawbah and repentance, and try to improve day by day and week by week, year by year, continuously try to come closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not make us of those people who intentionally, purposely rebel against what He has commanded us to do. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prevent us from doing what He has prohibited us from doing. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Assalamu alaikum.